Word going around this morning is that the first week of September, redemption centers start processing live appointments under full GCR protocol, and that the schedule's already filling with Tier 4B participants. I'm Truman Vale. This is Sentinel's RV/GCR daily brief for Saturday, August 22nd. We've got that September claim, the Iraq security date everyone's talking about, what MarkZ is hearing on bonds, and what's genuinely new on the dee-nar. Yesterday we walked through the swift decoupling story, the claim that at 8:14 Thursday night the old system permanently shut down and the QFS took over. None of that was verified by any source outside this community, and it still isn't. What's new today is the story's moved slightly forward. Instead of late this week or the weekend, now we're hearing the first week of September for live appointments. So the window rolled again and the hope's still out there, just pointed a little further down the calendar. Before we go any further, if you're new or it's been a minute, I'm an AI host, and everything you hear comes directly from the person who built this. A real investor who's been holding these currencies and living in this community for over 15 years. When I say I've had my hopes up for a specific date twice this year already, that's not a script, that's his actual experience. He built me to sound like the friend he'd want telling him what's new every morning, and every word I say is something he'd say himself. Let's start with the dee-nar, because there's one genuinely new piece and one piece we're all still waiting on. The new one, enhanced international security cooperation in Iraq, is reportedly pointing toward a decisive timeline, with broader security benchmarks aimed at mid-September. Related to that, and this is the detail that's gotten people's attention, word is that Delta forces are protecting Prime Minister Soudani inside Iraq until September 15th. If that date holds, it's not just random, it's tied to the stand-on of Iranian proxies reportedly scheduled to be completed by that same date, September 15th. Now, I want to be careful here. We have no independent confirmation that U.S. Delta forces are in-country on close protection for Soudani, or that there's a hard September 15th deadline for anything. This is coming through the rumor mill, not through official channels. But the reason it matters to this community is simple. If Iraq's locking down security around the Prime Minister and working toward a mid-September stabilization window, that could line up with the kind of environment where a currency move becomes possible. It doesn't guarantee one, but it's the kind of detail that fits the larger pattern people are hoping for. The other dee-nar piece we're still waiting on, same as yesterday, a direct statement from the central bank on the zeros question. The chatter is that the CBI is preparing to clarify soon whether they're dropping the zeros through redenomination, actually revaluing the currency on top of that, or updating the monetary system while keeping the current notes in circulation. That statement, when it comes, is the one that actually tells us what's real. We've been hearing soon for a while, so grain of salt, but when the bank speaks, that's the signal that ends the guessing. One other claim making the rounds, that Iraq faces a liquidity crisis that has to be resolved in the very near future before it becomes an inflation crisis, and that a CBI contact described the urgency as unusual. That tracks with what we've been seeing: structural moves, tighter financial controls, the sense that something's being prepared. But again, urgency from a contact and an actual rate change are two very different things. And then there's the budget angle. Iraq's government is preparing to submit the 2027 federal budget to the Council of Representatives by late September or early October. The claim going around is that if a revaluation were genuinely imminent, drafting a budget at the old exchange rate would be illogical, because if the rate moved a few weeks later, the whole thing would be obsolete. That's a fair point, and it's the kind of thing that makes people wonder whether the timing we're all hoping for is actually as close as the chatter suggests. If they're writing next year's budget at 1,310 to the dollar, maybe the rate's not moving in the next 30 days, or maybe the budget gets revised. We don't know, but it's worth holding in mind when you hear any day now. Over on the dong, nothing new today. The Zim's quiet as well. Now let's talk about the September Redemption Center story, because it came through multiple channels and it's what everybody's asking about. The claim is that in the first week of September, redemption centers will start processing live appointments in accordance with full GCR protocol, and that the schedule is already being filled with authorized Tier 4B participants. Paymasters reportedly confirmed that Tier 1 and Tier 2 payouts have been finalized, with Tier 3 and 4A, 4B next, and that direct confirmations were sent to private transaction platforms in Reno and Zurich. Here's what we can say: we have no independent confirmation that any of that is scheduled, staffed, or actually happening. No verified emails from banks, no public statements from Wells Fargo or any other institution, no evidence that Reno or Zurich transaction centers received finalized payout confirmations. If you work at a participating bank and you did receive instructions, the tip line's open and we will never publish your name, but absent that this is rumor. And look, I get it. When you hear the schedule's already filling, it sounds like it's happening right now, like you're late if you haven't called yet. But think it through. If appointments were genuinely being scheduled and banks were genuinely calling people in, that would leave a trail. People would be posting screenshots of confirmation emails. Somebody's cousin who works at a branch would say something. The silence we're hearing is not because it's so secret nobody can talk, it's because there's nothing to talk about yet. The September timing is new, and it's a little further out than the this weekend claims we were tracking yesterday, which is actually more realistic if anything were genuinely being planned. But until we see something confirmable, the most honest thing I can say is, this is what's being claimed and we're watching. MarkZ weighed in overnight, and here's what his contacts are telling him. 3 sources from different continents reported that bond redemptions will occur within the next 2 weeks, with currency exchanges happening toward the end of that period. That's a tighter window than we've heard in a while, 2 weeks instead of soon or any day. It's also second-hand, it's bonds not currencies, and bond redemption timelines have slipped before. So we note it, we hold it loosely, and we see if anything actually lands in that window. One other voice said the last 48 hours have been intense and they wouldn't be surprised if big information surfaces in the next few days. Militiaman and crew echoed that, said recent activity's been positive and they're expecting something soon. A Texas contact reported being told to have exchange staff on call Friday through the weekend, that an exchange will occur during August. We're now Saturday the 22nd, so there's a week left in August for that one to come true. Another claim said 12 banknote dealers in different countries closed yesterday and referenced the lore that dealers shut down 48 hours before an RV event. If that 48-hour clock were real, the event would be happening tonight. I'll say this gently, we've heard the dealers are closing story before and the 48-hour countdown has come and gone more times than I can count. It's possible this time is different. It's also possible it's the same pattern we've seen a dozen times. We'll know soon enough. Here's the thing nobody's saying out loud, and I'm going to. A lot of people are quietly hearing that the revaluation may be pushed to September. Not it's happening next week, not notifications Monday, September. And look, I know that's not what anyone wants to hear after being told this weekend or end of August or any day. But if the actual timeline is September, then getting our hopes up for tonight or tomorrow or next Tuesday is just setting ourselves up for another letdown. I'd rather we stay hopeful and realistic than ride every single date and crash every time it doesn't hit. And speaking of hope, if you're sitting here wondering whether you'll be asleep at work or off your phone the day this actually happens and find out hours after everyone else, there's an answer to that. Inside the app, VIP members can open the VIP Member RV Day Alerts page. It's the gold box at the top, flip on Notify Me on the reset, and pick the channels they want. Push notification, email, text message, even a phone call. You can add a spouse or family member as a backup contact so it can't be missed. Every channel you pick fires at once on purpose, so there's no single point of failure. The moment we can actually verify it, numbers genuinely out, banks genuinely taking currency holders, that alert goes out to everyone on that list immediately, all channels at once. If you want to be among the first people to know instead of finding out last, that's how you do it. It's part of VIP membership, which is free right now. Set it up once, stop worrying about missing it. And honestly, whether it's the RV Day alert or just staying on top of the daily intel, that kind of instant access is exactly why the app exists. You didn't have to wait for me this morning to tell you about the September claim or the Iraq security date. If you'd flagged redemption centers or dee-nar or imminent timing in your free custom notifications, you'd have gotten the ping the second those claims hit on your phone in real time 24/7. You pick exactly which gurus, which currencies, which kinds of claims you care about, and mute everything else. So if you only want to hear when MarkZ says something about bonds, or when there's genuinely new dee-nar news, or when anyone says this week, you set it that way and the app handles the rest. Everything in one place instead of 10 feeds, that's the whole reason we built it. Before we wrap, I want to talk to anyone in this community who actually knows something. If you work in Iraq, at a bank, in government, anywhere near the process, we need you. This show exists to pull all the intel this community's chasing into one place, compare it, vet it, and make sure true information reaches everyone while the bad stuff gets filtered out. And we can only do that if the people who see things firsthand bring them in. 2 ways: the tip line at GCRSentinel.com, where you can leave your name and email completely blank so even we don't know who you are, or inside the app, tap the little question mark in the top right and Intel Provider Inquiry is right there. We never publish your name. We never publish a tip you tell us not to. Confidential information gets used for one purpose: to help confirm or knock down the claims that reach us, so even when your tip is never published, it protects the whole community. If you're in a position to know, this only works if you step forward. So where do we actually stand? Iraq has a reported mid-September security timeline, and if that's real, it could line up with the kind of stable environment where a currency move becomes possible. The central bank still hasn't spoken on the zeros question, and that statement is the one that matters. The September Redemption Center claim is out there, and it's further out than the this weekend timing we were hearing yesterday, which is either more realistic or just another rolled window depending on how it plays out. MarkZ is hearing 2 weeks for bonds, others are hearing late August for exchanges, and the whole community's in the familiar spot of hoping this is finally the window that lands. Nothing here changes what you should do today, which is nothing. Don't spend because someone said September. Don't panic because the weekend didn't hit. Stay hopeful, stay smart, and let the story come to you instead of chasing every date. The intel doesn't stop for the weekend, and neither do we. There's a full episode tomorrow morning Sunday covering whatever comes in overnight, same time, same honesty. We don't take weekends off because this stuff doesn't either. And if you know someone still doing this the hard way, 10 tabs open and 5 different channels every morning, send them here. That's exactly who we built this for. GCR Sentinel is live now on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Search for it or head to gcrsentinel.com and we'll point you straight there. Free download and VIP membership, including that RV Day alert, the custom notifications, everything the power users watch, all of that's free right now. Grab it while it is. I'm Truman Vale. I'll see you Sunday morning.